Welcome back to some new r/PettyRevenge stories, where people share small victories over those that wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Oranges. At my primary workplace we have a beautiful garden that people really love to visit. We allow it because it usually doesn't bother us. But once when I got out to buy some extra milk for our office, a woman came to me. "Can I take some of your oranges? They are getting spoiled like that. Such a shame that you don't pick them up." They are not oranges, they are... "I don't believe you. I'll take your oranges because it's dangerous to leave them like that. What if they fall down and someone will fall because of them? I pick them from the ground every morning, and they are not. Don't you lie to me. I'll take how much that I can." I shrugged and wrote a message to my manager, warning her about our surprise in the garden, so she won't be alarmed while I'm at the store. "Here, I'll eat one now," the woman proclaimed. "I'd love to see you try," I chuckled. She took a bite. Yes, a bite, with the peel and all. And just as it entered her mouth, she spit it out angrily. "It's really dangerous. You should be ashamed of yourself." "Ma'am." "Don't you ma'am me. It's not oranges. I don't believe you. It's bitter orange. Bigger rate orange. It's not a real thing," she yelled and stomped out angrily. It's a fruit called bitter orange, also known as Seville orange. It looks very similar to a regular orange, but it has a very bitter taste. People can eat them. It's not poisonous, but it's not tasty at all. Out of the thousands of people I've encountered in the garden, I am pretty sure that only 2 of them really like to eat them raw. It's always used in an altered way. Marmalade as an additive to cakes, beverages and many other kinds of food. The next story is called Retired Engineer. My dad is a retired engineer. When his dad installed a pool and started hosting loud parties late into the night, his first step was to sink 2 5-gallon buckets full of chicken manure near some bushes at the property and pool fence. He then rigged an apparatus that would lift the lids of the bucket discreetly, so that when said pool party was downright, they would get a nose full of ammonia from all the chicken poop. The second step was planting a row of maple trees at the property line. The intention was to have all the little helicopter seeds float over to their property and ideally into their pool. While the trees aren't as ridiculous as the chicken manure, I can definitely appreciate the commitment to the long game. When the same neighbor kept shooting his lawn clipping into his driveway, he would dutifully scoop them up. He would place them in several containers filled with water, freeze them, then wait until dark to chuck these large grass-filled ice cubes over the fence and into the neighbor's pool. He always prefaces his stories to me by telling me, "I probably shouldn't tell you this, so you'll have plausible deniability." The third story is called Birthday Party at Work. I was working my way through graduate school and then looking for a teaching job right after. I worked a graveyard shift at a convenience store. It wasn't fun. No breaks and no pay differential, but it paid the bills. The problem was the birthday celebrations. They would get cake whenever it was someone's birthday, and they would forget to tell me and the other guy who worked overnights. It didn't seem to bother him, as he didn't really care for anyone there besides me and the store manager. But I did take it personally, since they would have the birthday celebrations during the second shift a few hours before I got there, and never invite me nor even save me a piece of cake. They would, however, leave the mess for me to clean up, and sometimes would be too busy enjoying the cake and chatting to do their work. They would rely on us to do the things that were needed for the next day, that they were supposed to do. These were things like baking the rolls for the subs and baking and packing things like mini bread loaves and muffins. I would usually just shrug it off and clean up and pick up the slack to be a good team player. But then everyone in the store, including the manager, forgot about my 29th birthday. Save my coworker from the overnight shift. I mentioned to the store manager how much it bothered me that I didn't even get a card or a verbal happy birthday, as I had to work on my birthday. She reassured me they would remember the next year for my 30th. Another year goes by of cleaning up cake crumbs and throwing out the cups and plates and no one saving me a piece. Then my 30th comes and goes and no one remembers again, save for my overnight coworker who gives me a card and a little cupcake from the local bakery. I was smart and took off that year, but had dropped in at his request so he could tell me happy birthday, and he gave me the card and cupcake as a surprise. He could tell, however, that I was disappointed that once again everyone else forgot. He told me not to think about it now, since it was my birthday, and to enjoy myself, but to remember the next time they had a birthday celebration and forgot to invite me. I only had to wait a few weeks. They once again forgot to finish baking the rolls for subs. I came into the mess that the second shift once again left for us. As they were leaving, one of them mentioned how they had not done any of the rolls, so I could do that. I casually mentioned that I had much to do that night and would get to it when possible. He was floored and said they had to get it done, or we wouldn't have rolls the next day. I just shrugged and said I had a lot to do, since it was Friday and we were always busy that night. My amazing coworker grinned at me and waited till the others had left and asked me if I felt like I was going to have time to clean up their mess and do their work. I just smiled and said no. I did my job and left the trash from the party where it was. When the morning shift came in, they had been at the birthday celebration as well. They were horrified that the mess was still there and there were no rolls baked. I apologized and explained that the second shift must have been busy after the birthday celebration and didn't have a chance to clean up or bake the rolls. So I guess they would have to do it. But hey, I was sure they enjoyed the cake and pizza, and it was a shame that they never left any for me. My coworker and I clocked out, and this one woman was losing her mind, begging us to at least stay an hour or two and watch the deli or the register so they could get this done. There were 3 people who were already clocked in, and 2 more about to clock in, so there would be 5 people. They can have 2 go on the register and 2 go on the deli, while 1 gets the rolls baked, so they would be fine until the manager comes in. She started her shift 2 hours after this. I went home and took a shower and was relaxing and trying to sleep when the store manager calls me up. She was frantic and told me that she has come in and that the 2 coworkers that I spoke to before leaving are saying how I left the place a mess and refused to help the second shift finish baking the rolls. I told her I was going to sleep now, and if she wanted I would come in an hour early and explain what happened. She said she would meet me at the store. So I came in an hour early and she was still there. And my one second shift coworker who had asked me to bake the rolls was there giving me dirty looks. She asked me to come into the office and demanded to know why I had not helped out last night. I calmly explained what happened and reminded her that this has happened before. I was not invited to the birthday celebrations. How they had forgotten my birthday, again, and how I had a lot to do since I was running the deli by myself at night. If they were going to have birthday celebrations on the clock, they could stay a little late to finish their work and clean up their mess. She told me that corporate had come in that day. I didn't know, and how they could have gotten in trouble because the place was a mess. The rest of the place had been cleaned. I only didn't clean the mess of coffee pots where they left their pizza boxes and other party garbage. I asked her if she wanted me to call corporate and explain everything. She muttered something about remembering me next year, and I told her I didn't care anymore. If I wasn't invited, I was not cleaning up or finishing their job. And if they couldn't handle having a slice of cake and finishing their work, that was on them. At our next meeting, she announced that unless people would stay to clean up after the birthday cake celebrations, we couldn't have it anymore. People said they would, but when the next celebration occurred, and once again they forgot to invite me, I came and saw the place was a mess and the rolls were not baked. One of my second shift coworkers begged me to do the rolls because she was going out with her boyfriend, and I said no. They left the mess again, and I took a picture and sent them to the store manager via text and told her I was not cleaning it up. The following week she informed everyone that since no one cleaned up after the most recent birthday celebration, there would be no more since we had to stay on top of our work. I quit before my next birthday. The last story is called PettyRevenge. I work with QuickBooks. I was having an issue I couldn't solve, so I decided to call them. This was about 7 AM, and not being a morning person and new to being at work that early in the morning, I was still a bit sleepy. When I looked up the phone number for them, I accidentally chose a site not related to QuickBooks. I called and this guy had me running through some steps that were just what scammers used to do when they called, saying they were Microsoft and received error messages from your computer. They get you to look at all of the errors on your system and act like it's a major issue they needed to fix. I was working on chat with him and had let him access my computer when the light bulb went on. and I realized he was a scammer. I told him as much, and our chat began to immediately disappear, and QuickBooks started to uninstall. I was quick enough to shut the computer down without him causing any damage. But I was mad. I started calling him every 5 to 10 minutes for days as I tried to track him down and out him. I would call and say things like, "I got your IP address. Your home address is next," taunting him. I turned his site into every search engine out there, and it was removed from Google after a few days. I kept calling. He finally stopped answering, but I still left messages until he disconnected his phone number. A new site popped up, similar to the first one. I called it and it was him. I said something like, "Hi Frankie, it's me again. Thought you could scam me and get away with it. But I found you." I reported this site as well, and it was gone in a few days. I never saw another one like it pop up, and it's been about 4 years. But boy, did I enjoy that. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.